Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So, getting ready to do a little work on the farm again. A little bit of lag, so that's never any fun, but hopefully it'll clear up a bit. If I happen to run past midnight on the server today, it won't be too bad because we're not doing anything time sensitive. It's still wet. Looks like maybe it finally stopped dripping. When I got in here 10 minutes ago, it was still dripping a bit. But, so the rain just ended. And sadly, as I figured, I was unable to do anything with the crops all day today, as far as the oats, so. But I'm going to at least do something. So I'm going to work on lime on the 4 fields as we talked about. As I've taken a look at it, it does appear that we will need that on these 4 fields. It's kind of borderline, but at this point, just given everything else I've put into these fields, I definitely want to. I'm looking for my truck, but I think I have it somewhere over here. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. So again, it's one of those things you just kind of forget where things are at and where you put them, even just a little bit ago. Yeah, it's not here. Oh, you know what? I put it back on the field here because I was ever optimistic that I would be able to do this work today, and I could not. So I'm going to grab my seed tender or my seed express, and I'm going to go eliminate the seeds because at this point I don't need them, and I'm going to fill this thing with lime because I'm probably going to need truckloads of that, because why would I expect the hemp fields to do anything else than what they've been doing to me since I started? It needed a lot of fertilizer. It needed a buttload of seeds. So why wouldn't it need a similar amount of lime? Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But in any case, as I said, lime just needs to be done before the crop is ready to harvest. I suppose there's a possibility that the crop could suddenly turn ready to harvest on me at midnight. But other than filling this thing, I also don't have the situation of it taking a long time because the spreader spreads pretty far and wide, so, and I've only got 4 fields to do, so I think I'm probably still going to run overtime a bit, but it shouldn't be a lot, so we'll do what we can. I'm definitely going to start on 29 and 30 since those are my larger fields. I want to have as little left over as possible, so I'll be careful to do that first and then put myself in the best position I can to get the best benefit in case somehow the fields pop over to harvest at midnight. But that would surprise me, because that would mean it did it in 2 days. But crazier things have happened. And with all the rain, who knows? So sadly, the server's still continuing to lag. I don't know if there's something around. I know I saw Firefighter on here earlier when I came to check in. about 3-4 hours ago to see if perhaps maybe the rain held off and things were drying, because the time before I had checked, I still needed 2 to 3 hours till it would have a hope of being dry, and that took me right into the rain window, and when I got back on, it was raining, and they were doing some work down in the opposite bottom corner, but not quite sure what they were working on. So the good news is well, technically I have up to 4 days to get these oats off, so there's gotta be a belief that at some point things are gonna work, but it may prove me wrong, but we'll see. Alright, so I don't think, let me hop out because I don't think I connected my cables. I did not, and I think that will keep the truck from being able to empty. And I don't want to pull too far forward because we already know I can't get around the root crop, so I'm going to have to back out of here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. It is pouring out already. So there we go. So it does empty out faster than it tends to. Sorry, this is concerning me because, yeah, we've got this lag, and then the last thing I want is this thing to suddenly jump forward because I'm hitting the gas, so I'm trying to be really careful and pay attention on what's happening. But I think I'll be able to clear this. Getting hit by this lag again. Goodness gracious, hopefully that clears itself up some. Right. Lime. Let's get some lime. So you'll be able to tell by the way the numbers flow what the lag impact is, because it should just kind of go up smoothly. But every time it stops, if you look at the mini-map, you can see we've got some red millisecond times. So things are definitely having some issues tonight for whatever reason. So while I'm waiting for the seeds to fill, I'll do my PSA announcement for the channel. Certainly if you visited, you enjoy what you're seeing, please subscribe, please like the videos. The more they're liked, the more they get recommended to others, and the bigger our community grows, and the bigger the community is, the more comments I get, which helps me understand what people find interesting and lets me target doing a little bit more of what I can do. Once again, the FSN results are the FSN results. That's something that is core to what I do to keep things moving, just because I enjoy that and experience for Farming Simulator. So the bulk of the Farming Simulator videos will by necessity be those, because I spend a lot of time there. But I'll still continue doing additional information that helps the community. You know, so if you prefer map tours, if you prefer tutorials, if there's something that you've been struggling with, I'm certainly not an expert on everything Farming Simulator. Probably, frankly, not an expert on anything Farming Simulator. I just know how to use it the way I know how to use it. And I'm certainly happy to share what I know and learn from you guys what I don't know. So, and if you learn anything from listening to my channel, I love to talk. I love to talk to people. I love to talk to anybody. So, be happy to have a discussion about whatever you'd like in the comments, and do my best to give you an answer that hopefully helps you get to the next step of whatever you're trying to resolve. Alright, so we've got a truckload of lime here. We're going to go ahead and see how far it gets us. And hopefully it'll be faster than the seeds, or further than the seeds. Because at this point, one truckload of seeds didn't even get through one field. And sadly, unfortunately, I think I may have the same result with lime, because lime normally is heavy in consumption. So I am filming this, or recording this after the point where I've decided to venture out into the scary world of live stream. So I'll be doing that this upcoming Sunday. This video will probably actually be coming out after that happens, because I pretty much have things queued up already. So there will be a bit of a sequencing issue that we're going to see, because at this point the hopper's full and I don't want to delay videos any more than I need to, and obviously the live stream is when the live stream is. And these servers move along in real time, and so if I sit and wait, I won't be able to do this work after the videos happen. So I hope you'll come along and understand and forgive the out of sequence, because you're basically going to see winter work before you see this late summer work and any other autumn work I have. So you may see 2 or 3 more episodes that appear after the live stream that occurred in reality before the live stream. So we'll see how it all works. We'll go from there. Alright, I am just surprised this lag is continuing as it is. But anyway, let me turn on my lines, change them to the direction I need, move them over. So I think that's about it. I'll be able to tell better when I cycle around here. Oh, I should, well, at this point I'll go ahead and just spread this. I was gonna say I should actually, I'm actually over a bit over from where I need to be, but I should have topped off this spreader, because it's going to consume it pretty quickly, as I'm sure you're well aware if you've ever done any lime. But here we go. And once again, there we go. So we're adding 0.75, and lime is independent of the crop, if you recall, in precision farming. So it doesn't really matter that we have hemp on here. So as I was lamenting that this might take more than normal, I forgot that part. So that's why we just see it's increasing to the optimal value for the soil type we have. And there's no mention of the crop, because frankly doesn't care. So, but yeah, we're gonna burn through this pretty quickly, but the good news is this spreads probably twice as wide as the seeds did, so maybe even a little bit more. But it looks like, yeah, we might consume the entire trailer full. Well, I guess this wasn't a full trailer, but we're gonna get maybe 1 row up here, if even that. So we'll see where we end up. We'll get the truck up here, we'll top it off, and then the bigger issue is, do we have enough lime to actually finish these fields? So, let me get the cover open, otherwise it won't fill when I arrive here. And let's go get in our truck. Where did I leave it? Yep, there we go. You get really good at looking at the Venn diagrams of... Oh, the question is, I'm wondering though, the growth stage on this. I'm going to venture into the field a little bit here. But I am worried that I am going to kill crop. Am I? Maybe I'm still okay. Just try it again and circle around. I'm sorry that this is taking more time, but the last thing I want to do is take out boatloads of my crop. Because I've run over it. It looks like I'm okay, but that will be something I'm gonna have a problem with once we hit midnight. Because yeah, once it gets to that second growth stage, I know that's gonna start taking things out, and that will be bad. I'm just having nightmares right now that I'm thinking I'm okay and I'm just driving over tons and tons of crop here. That would just be so bad. Oh boy. And that was even worse. There's no way I could do that again. Alright, well, looking back here now behind us where the tractor's lighting it up, I think we're okay. It doesn't really look like, yeah, because there's clearly crop right in the tire tracks and it's still there, so I just have to make sure I get this truck off this field, or off whatever field I'm on when we get near midnight. So alright, so we'll do this, we'll stop this here because I've got to run the headland. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, but the lag gives me a problem where, like, you know, exactly what is happening there. Like, it just, I need to be able to, when I'm manually driving, more control is better. And when it's doing what it's doing, control is not something I have. The good news, though, with the hemp is that I do have the ability to see to the ground, so I'm not hidden away like I am with a more dense crop where I can't see what I've done. So at least from that perspective, I should be in better shape to not over lime, if there's such a term. If there isn't, I'm going to vote to say there should be. So in Misty Hills lore, over liming is a thing. And I'm sorry if you don't like it, but it's a thing. Alright, so now we just do the work and get this done. So I am going to go ahead on this and just throw the work today in a time lapse because there's not a lot to see. If you've been keeping up with everything off of this series, you've just watched a really, really long video with me talking a lot. And so I'm going to give you a bit of a break and just give you a bit of a musical interlude in the dark here as we work on the lime, so that at least we can get something done when Mother Nature is shutting the door on the things we'd like to get done. So we'll do the other things we have to get done so that they're done. So I'll see you in a bit. So finishing up the last tiny bit here of lime. So there we go. We've got that completed. So we're still not at the top of the next hour, which is when the moisture will change over next. So what I am going to do is drop this, and I'm going to go over here in this grassy area where I've got a little bit more room. I'm going to unload this lime, because the other thing I'm going to take the opportunity to do now is to go ahead and fertilize the piece of the field that I couldn't get to when I was planting. Or wait a minute, no, did it fertilize? Now I'm like losing myself, because I think that's right, it wouldn't let me plant without fertilizer, so I actually didn't need to do this, but at this point it's on the ground. I'll clean it up. And that way I'll either go put that back into the silo, which actually, yeah, I'll definitely go put it back into the silo. So I'll go ahead and do that, because I'm not going to need lime again. You know, I'm thinking this through in my head, and then I'm wondering if my statement's actually accurate. Because I will need lime again, more than likely, after I finish harvesting the oats, because I'm likely going to be short of, or require the lime on those fields as well, because they were all, I believe, limed at the same time, and so now that we'll have that crop done, they'll all be on cycle to do that. So throw the cover back on, just so it looks like how we normally go down the road, as opposed to having lime flying everywhere from the wind, as we're getting up to a good clip here. But yeah, I'll leave this down here, since obviously that is where the tractor and the spreader will be, since this is my storage location for my equipment. So let me try to get in here without any crop damage. Yeah, see, because that segment sprouted, but let me just make sure I'm not insane here. So if I go to nitrogen, yeah, it's not as if I have a stripe in the field, so it is fertilized. The bigger question was, because it was planted outside the planting window, is it actually going to come to maturity and let me harvest? Or am I going to lose that segment of the field to withering, because it'll never actually grow? Alright, I need to disconnect my hoses so that I can disconnect the trailer, or from the tractor. We'll just get ourselves maintained up here. So do our repair, clean ourselves up, give ourselves, top off our fuel tanks. Can't get in from that far back, I guess. Alright, so $50 of fuel. This doesn't actually look that dirty, but I'll just give it a good spray. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything change. I think it's clean, which is normal for what we were doing. We weren't harvesting and driving around the fields, so it's not unheard of to have that situation. cut it a little too much. I'm just trying to anticipate how much space I need to give my tractor, and I don't want to have a difficulty in maneuvering when I bring the spreader back here. So yeah, I actually don't need to spread anything else. So we'll put this away after we, again, repair it. Fuel up the tractor because we're down a good amount. About 20%, a little over 20% of the fuel used up, so. So yeah, you know, I'm interested at this point. Certainly, I would be very surprised if I'm able to harvest right at 7 a.m. because dropping from 24 down to a harvestable moisture level, I don't think it's going to happen just in one clock cycle, especially since the drying is just at average. You know, it's the 0 right now. So we might get a little bit of drying, but I'm guessing it's not, you know, at best it's going to drop us down to 22, which is still too wet to be able to harvest. But I will hop over to the harvester and take a look, because my confusion is in the area I have harvested. I think the pH is okay. So I'm a little confused, clearly, from what that means and why it would actually be off cycle, unless somehow I'm not remembering the sequence properly. Alright, so yeah, I'll go ahead and put the spreader in behind the planter and the seeder at this point. Although now I'm trying to think it through, because it is nice when I'm putting those away to just be able to pull through, and obviously if I put the spreader there, I won't be able to do that. I'm going to have to put herbicide on this hemp yet this year, so that's probably a job I'll do now as well. So I don't want to block my sprayer in, so I guess we'll put it here. And if we need it, we need it. And that reminds me, I probably had fertilizer in that, in here. Let's see. Yep. So if you've not used the tool for that, you may not have been aware of that capability, that you can scan items and see what's stored in them. So if you've got trailers with crop or anything sitting around, you have that ability without having to connect a vehicle to it and see what's happening. So let me jump over to the harvester. My brain's just all over the place this morning on ideas. And alright, because yeah, the pH value here is bad, and then in the crop it will be okay because it's not come off yet. See, it's okay. Kind of changed color first, and then the word finally changed eventually. So no, I'm not crazy. It looks like that's the case. So I know for certain I can spray these fields because they were done before midnight. And then I had gotten over here, and those were then done today with lime, But in theory, that's a state change, so it should work. So with my understanding, I should be able to spray all these fields at this point. And again, take advantage of the time, since I do have time this morning, and get that done. So, and then I do have herbicide in the tank there. So I've got everything I need, or in theory everything I need. I don't know that I have enough herbicide, but so let me jump on the spraying. Thought I was going to have to do a little bit of fertilization, but figured out I didn't need to do that. But every once in a while I kind of forget that it's manual attach, and that's why I was like backing up and going forward. I'm like, how am I not lined up? Why is the queue not coming up? And some of that, I think, is a confusion of the fact that the trucks need to be, the trucks do that, so that I still have to get out and manually attach the hoses, but the truck does, I guess, auto attach is what I'd call it. So yeah, the challenge is going to be here that, I mean, any weeds that might exist will have died when I spray them visually. But the difficulty is, do they stay dead if it doesn't really take? And I guess we'll just take a look. It's light enough that I'm hoping, and I've got enough space between the plants, that I should be able to see the color change, because clearly it's going to change, the is it changing? Alright, let me get out and look at it. Let me see if I'm on the ground, is it any better? Oh boy, I don't really know. This is so frustrating because there's nothing on the map that will show it. Because clearly I'm going over the lime. I don't know, just everything in me is saying this should be working. I'm gonna go ahead and do it, and I guess if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I learn, and obviously if I'm right, I'll learn as well, but so that's just one thing. I wish that, Giants, other than just indicating pink weeds, would actually indicate if the field was actually properly treated with herbicide. Because that's the challenge that I'm missing. It's interesting how some of that lime is disappearing, or had disappeared in blocks. See how it just chunked out there? So it's almost like once I touch a segment of the field with herbicide, it gives me credit that I've done that section, but it doesn't do that here when I have it all across. Huh. It's an interesting execution of that. I just wasn't sure if the width was set appropriately here, but it appears to be. I've gone ahead and changed that out. So I'm gonna likely have to, well, I think I'm alright. Just have to come down here a little bit and hope I missed that pole. I think I did. I think I'm past. And herbicide also doesn't isn't controlled by precision farming, so I can't turn on the sprayer early and have a situation where it doesn't use the herbicide. So I've just got to be careful as I go through and do that so that I don't have that overspray. So, unlike over liming, I'm over herbing. Just sounds wrong. So I'm going to vote in the language of Misty Hills that over herbing is not a word. It just sounds wrong. Where over liming sounds okay. So I'm going to go with that. All right, I think we're light enough. I can turn off my lights. So yeah, the challenge is herbicide just seems to be a little finicky in when it counts and when it doesn't. So, you know, the issue is, like in theory, I should be able to see weeds, which I do. And they're in theory going away with what I'm doing. So what I can see on the map, which is that, is indicative of this working and being applied appropriately. But what I have seen through the School of Hard Knocks in the past is it will show those weeds gone, because they are, because I'm killing the weeds that have sprouted, but then they grow again, so it doesn't inhibit future growth like it should when it's actually taken appropriately. So I know for certain, like, you can't fertilize and then apply herbicide without a stage change. That's one thing that I learned the hard way, where I had to respray my fields the one year when I was still trying to learn and was wondering if I had to do it in each growth stage or just wait till the end, and then there would be minimal growth in between and so forth. So that was an unpleasant time as well. But with lime, it should be okay. So I think it's just, see, and it's not just the sprayer, because I was going to say I think it's just I sprayed something versus I spread something, and that it lets me do. Because yes, sometimes I've been applying like liquid fertilizer and then trying to apply the herbicide right over it, and without a state change of the field, it's like I'm already wet, I'm still wet, I'm not taking it. And I guess because maybe the texture mask or whatever it is that goes over it, when you spread, while it's theoretically not wet with solid fertilizer, it looks similar to when it's wet, so that basically it treats it the same way, maybe. Because I have also had the issue happen where I've gone ahead and spread fertilizer and then tried to spray, and it not work. It killed the weeds immediately, but then they sprouted again next growth cycle. And, you know, the other possibility we're going to have here is that the next day this hemp is going to pop to harvested. So even if somehow the weeds were off, they wouldn't have time to grow because it would get to the harvested state, and so they'd be pristine without weeds at that point. I just don't know that it's going to pop tomorrow, but it's been one of those years, just like the oats, where things grew at, I think, the fastest cycle they possibly can, so you never know. Well, we do have our answer, I just noticed. We're past 7, so, and the droopy moisture icon is up there next to the sun. So we're still too wet, so we have to go till at least 8 o'clock, which is one of the reasons I was thinking, well, I'll do this because I have time to work, and this is work that needs to get done at some point. So I can't harvest, so I'm going to go ahead and spray. And, you know, then it becomes the decision point of, like, when it did pop to allow me to harvest, do I jump out immediately at that point? Because in theory, the day should be then fully available to me because there's no rain to harvest. And so I could just be like, I'm going to finish up. Where is this thing dragging? The tip of it's obviously hitting something. Speaking of the tip of it, I'm not going to be able to move over much because I'm going to get hung up on some trees. I think I'm clear at this point. So I'll head on over. If I'm wrong, I'm going to have a problem. But yeah, at this point I'm definitely clear. So it'd be one of those, like, just, I don't know, for organizational sake, I'd be like, oh, I'll just finish the job I'm on now. I'll finish spraying, and then I'll just go harvest at that point. But there's also then the temptation of, well, but what if I get some dew that drops in on the crops at some point, and now the door slams shut on me again, and before it opens we get rain or something. So I'm a little more leaning toward the moment I can harvest, I'm going to harvest, and that's probably what I'm going to do. But it's going to be interesting. So alright, so I'm going to continue and get the spraying done. I've gone ahead at this point, because certainly if I'm spraying these fields, the other ones are absolutely ready, because I haven't done anything on those fields in, I think, a couple days at this point. So, so I'll definitely pop over and get the spraying done on 29 and 30, and I'm already starting these, so I'm going to get these fields done. And that should then wrap this, or will wrap this episode up. So I'll throw this on time lapse as well, so you can enjoy that, and I'll see you in a bit. So I am finished with putting herbicide down. So let me go get everything again repaired up, maintained, ready to go, so that we can continue on when we're working things in the future. So we'll clean this thing up. It's probably been a few harvests or a few cycles since we've done this, which shame on me, but we'll clean it up. It's just got that plastic body, I think, that accumulates dirt in those crevices and so forth, but gotten that shined up. Get a little bit of this dirt off the tractor here, but as you can see, we're at 8:30 and we're still wet. So once I park myself away here, I'm going to check the moisture and see, so that I can figure out when I'm going to try to check back in and work on the harvest, which will be a separate episode to finish that up. Because again, we've still got 3 fields there. There's a lot of work left there. And this, I'm sure, is going to turn into a 45-minute episode anyway, between me talking and what is happening. Let's see. Okay. Could not move for a while. But yeah, it'll turn into probably already a lengthy episode, even with the time lapses, because we've got probably 5 or 6 hours of work that I've got in here. And even at the time lapse, with the speed that makes sense and seems to be something that is watchable, you know, that was probably still 10 minutes of time lapse or so, if not more. So, alright, so we've got that done. Go ahead and turn these lights off before my battery dies. Alright. I like seeing green. Perfect, perfect. Why is it not? Oh, come on. 7. Oh, something is going on here. So, yeah, this could get really bad. Yeah, I don't know why. Can't be. This doesn't make any sense that it's because we're, we sprayed it with herbicide and somehow that increases them, because I'm assuming these fields are going to report the same thing. Oh, they don't. That's interesting. I don't know that I've ever done that. So we're at 72% moisture because we sprayed the field, I guess, with herbicide. Or because the field is growing. Who knows? But we're at 22%, so that means hopefully within an hour or two. Sorry, as I cycle through the hand tools, the chainsaw comes up sometimes. Well, all the time. So yeah, we'll be back in this bad boy in a little bit later today, but you'll see it in a separate episode. So thanks for following along. If you like what you see, please subscribe, press the like button, and I'll see you next time.